Welcome to the Hip Hop Hustle podcast. I've got the one and only Kwaj. He's come through one of the most, I think, underrated artists that I've probably had on the show in a while. Underrated because you have bars, you have dope beats, you have literally everything that any great artist would have, but you don't have the same critical acclaim. So for me, definitely underrated in my opinion. The weigh-in came out recently. You've also got Rain Man coming out on March the 22nd. So by the time this interview drops, that'll be out as well. So you'll have to check that out. But man, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you, man. Thank you very much. I'm excited to be here and chop it up with you, man.
Yeah. Well, I've always wanted to ask you because I've been listening to music for a little while, and something that I wanted to know about was where you got the sound from, because you've got this like jazzy boom bap soul instrumental. And I've said time and time again on the show, my favorite songs have soul instrumentals. They have those heavy drums. They have all those elements. But how did you find that sound and meld with it so well?
You know what, man? I got really into Dilla at a young age. Like back in the SoundCloud era, ripping Dilla instrumentals off YouTube. I'd write to every Dilla beat you could think of. So that's where like the jazzy came in. And then like my favorite rappers were like Big L, Old School Eminem, AZ, Nas, Biggie, like shit like that. So combine Dilla with those artists that I like, it just kind of like became that pot of like jazz and hard rhymes, you know?
Because it's not in fashion at the moment to have that type of sound.
It ain't in fashion to a lot of people, but to the people that I care about their opinions, it's really in fashion. You know what I mean? Like the cats who I want to impress, it's in fashion for us. So
that's true.
Yeah.
But I also am like, I wish more people appreciated it at the same time, because there's something iconic about it.
That's what I think, but you know what? It is what it is. You got guys like Joey Badass, Earl Sweatshirt. They've carved huge niche lanes, and they do what we do. So it's possible.
Yeah. Well, here I am hoping as a hip hop lover, because you said Big L, and literally I've been listening to Big L in the car for the past week, just going back and just reminding myself. He's always been in my top 5 as like a lyricist, but the punchlines and just everything he did. But something they do say about Big L is in that project, the beats aren't as good. Like some people in Lifestyles of the
Poor and Dangerous.
Poor and Dangerous, yeah. That the beats, that's probably the one thing that they would improve.
Yeah, them beats was not, they wasn't really hitting like that, but the rhymes were hot, bro. Like, shit, yeah. I mean, what is that? Is that what you think about a lot of the old era shit? Like the beats could be better?
I actually think the beats work for Big L. Like, okay. I get that like they could be crisper. I get that they could have like heavier drums. Like I get all that, but also the feeling is perfect to what you get, because it's grimy, it's not perfect, and that is what Big L is talking about. So to me, it actually really works. Like I get that they would probably want, like Dre production on that stuff and like Primo production on that, but at the same time, that's not the sound. And I actually don't agree that the beats could be better, because like the project he released is fire. So it's weird that we would critically be like, this is a classic project.
Yeah.
Like, but change the beats.
See, now you got to define what you mean by better, because it sounds like to me you're saying that they want it sharper, like not as lo-fi. Same beat, better quality. But you know what I'm saying? Like, or do they want Drake shit on it? That's like,
I think both don't make sense, because the way it came out is undeniably amazing. Like I get that like to the ear you may want better, but I've learned over talking to many people like yourself that imperfection actually makes the artwork more special. There's something about it not being 100% spot on all the time. And I think that's the grimy nature of what I love about the project is it is a little bit lo-fi. Is a little bit like dirty in that sense.
Yeah, and I would just say those guys aren't as they don't like the old school sound as much as we do. Like, I'll go back on YouTube and find freestyles that sound like they're recorded on like a fucking prehistoric device, but it's so grimy. I'm like, yo, I wouldn't have this any other way. Because, you know what I mean? So, it is, you teach their own. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, would you change the beats? It sounds like you wouldn't either.
Fuck no. Like, that's just not even, I've never heard that before. Ever.
Well, maybe the people I'm talking to don't know what they're talking about. That is more likely to be the case.
That's the case. That's the case, bro. I'm gonna go ahead and say that. But yeah, man. So yeah.
Well, something I did want to ask you about was like the For Knowledge Collective as well, because it's a group of artists coming together, and I always find collectives really interesting because you're also independent artists, and then you combine to make your powers the most. But tell me a little bit more about that.
So this started probably for me about maybe close to 10 years ago. I was making songs on SoundCloud. I got hit up by my favorite producer now, Hobbs. And then we hopped in Google chats. There's like fucking 50 artists in this chat going crazy. Like it's chaos. It ain't even organized at all. But we started banging out tracks together as For Knowledge. And then we did a huge call because we literally have 50 guys in there. It made no sense. So we dropped it down to about 8. Now there's 8 of us in the US, Germany, New Zealand. But yeah, and we meet up sometimes and we try to bang out an album. That shit didn't work out, but we still just are a support system to each other right now. Like we get on the Discord every weekend, chop it up. If one of us had a show, we're like, yo, I did this, did that. We're just boys now. We don't even try to like release music as a collective anymore. Like that's done with. So, but yeah, that's homies for life,
That's really interesting because you've opened up a can of worms, and I want to ask so many questions with regards to that. But how did you get 50 artists? Because I agree that is insane to have 50 artists in the one group.
It's easy, bro. Like there were no barriers to entry. If you were dope, get your ass in here, man. It was like that. And then everyone was like, all right, bet. Like super easy. Super easy.
But then how was the culling process?
Bro, anyone who wasn't dope, didn't consistently participate in chats, didn't consistently drop music, who wasn't serious, ads. Yeah.
Did y'all have a conversation with those people first, or was it just you're out?
Yeah. It was like, yo, if you don't really start participating more or just taking this shit more serious, you're gonna get out. And then it was like that. I wasn't even the one making the decision. There's a couple of people we kicked out that I would have had stay. And it's particularly one that like kind of blew up, but whatever.
Would you say who it is?
Oh yeah, I don't know if you know her, Swish. She go by Swish.
Okay.
She's performed on Colors, which is that YouTube series where they put like one pastel color and you do the hanging mic joint.
Yeah, I've actually seen those. Yeah, and they've got like, yeah.
So she did one of those, and she's big in California and all that. But yeah, do you yourself have any experience in like collectives at all?
No, see, I know very much my skill set. My skill set is talking, not rapping. So I made a decision a long time ago that I would not jump into the arena that I love so much, just because, number one, I know I don't have the desire to be that. Like, I love the idea of being on stage in front of thousands of people and being like the superstar, but the journey to get there, I don't have that desire, and I acknowledge that within myself. But I also tried to write a rhyme for the start of this show, and I could never do it. I just could never do it.
So let me pose you this, right? You have the desire to be in front of thousands of people.
Yeah.
Let's say you want a big podcast, and you want a Spotify deal, and you want to be heard by millions of people. Like you do that. That journey could be difficult too.
But here's the thing. I think I would prefer this version of it. There's something of like, I have worked enough in my craft to be able to talk to people without having to pre-plan a conversation. Whereas I would be at the very beginning as a rapper. I think I'd do a better job at like crafting music in terms of instrumentals. I think I'd do better at that, just because like I think my ear's okay, but that again would take a lot more time. But I think if my life turned into just talking to rappers, my life's pretty fucking amazing.
So that's interesting too, though. Like, because what I just heard was starting from scratch kind of scares you. It scares everybody.
Yeah.
Like me, I could relate that to like all I do is rap right now. I want to become my own engineer. I want to produce my beats, but I'm like, oh, I don't want to go back to ground zero. So I haven't even started fucking with the other aspects and elements of hip hop, because I'm like, I don't want to be a newbie again. I know I'm good as fuck at this. And I that's it. That's how I want to keep it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, how do we get over that?
Fuck. Just start, man. You just got to start. That's it.
Yeah. But I think the important part is also recognizing the desire has to be genuine, of like, I'm willing to put in the work, because I listen to a lot of podcasts with comedians, and when I hear them go through the shit that they go through, I'm like, I don't want to go through that. I don't want to bomb on stage. I don't want to.
Bad enough, man. That's it.
But it takes them years and years and years and years, and you have to bomb and you have to suck and you have to. And so I guess that's the thing, is like, I was accepting on this journey of like, I would suck first.
Yeah.
I don't even think I'm anywhere near of where I could be, but I would suck. The podcast would suck. I wouldn't get anyone good on the show. That would be my life. But I was okay with that, and I was ready to accept that journey. Whereas for some reason, as a rapper, I think it's because I like it too much. It would be difficult to look myself in the mirror and go, oh, you suck. And then I listen to Biggie and I listen to Big L, and I'm like, oh, that's the epitome of it all.
Right. Hey, man, I have that thought often. Sometimes I'm listening to shit and I'm like, wow, that shit was really good. I don't even know why I'm rapping right now. As good as I am, I hear shit, I'm like, holy fuck. Nah, I'm done. So I feel you, man. But that's how much I love it. It's like, I couldn't stop if I wanted to, man. I couldn't. So.
But on the flip side, this is the other thing, though. How many shit rappers are out there that have a career?
A lot. It's not even, it's a lot more about than just music. There's tons of shit rappers with great images and great personalities. That's all you need. Good personality.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not all you need. You know what I'm trying to say, bro.
Yeah. It helps. It helps. People love a story. People love the charismatic kind of person who just soaks up the attention.
Exactly.
I feel like half those people are just acting. They're just playing the same role.
Yeah, man. Yeah. That's what I feel like. But that you kind of got to respect that, though. They did what they needed to do to get where we're all trying to go. But I can't act. You know what I mean?
Well, let me ask you, like, where does your own kind of personal yourself start and Kwaj begin? Like, there is always this like weird fine line between who you are and the version of you that's performing in the artist, but that fine line is different for everyone. So I've always been intrigued by where you starts and where the performer begins as well.
I think everything flips the second I'm in rap mode. Like I'm me up until I get on the stage, and then I become a lot more like kind of like how Big L was. Like he talked mad shit. Like that's what I turn into when I get up there. I'm just like, I know I'm the man. You couldn't tell me I'm not the man right now. And as soon as I get off that stage, everybody says I'm the man. But off the stage, I'm just like, I'm just chilling. So yeah, I don't know if you can relate to that. Just like, that's the only place where I feel like, yo, man, I'm the shit, man. And everybody knows it too. Like, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. Probably not to that extent, but I definitely have parts of me that's like, oh, you're seeing me be my outgoing self more than I may necessarily be. But it's like, the face you put on when you work a 9 to 5. Like, that ain't you. You just have to play the game.
Yeah. I keep it 100 I've been working 9 to 5s since I was 18. I'm the same there. I don't talk to people. People think I'm like arrogant because I don't do small talk or any of that dumb shit. Talk about your cat and your dog and your stupid ass kids. Like, I don't give a fuck about any of that. I'm trying to pay my rent and go back home. So I don't put on a face there either. I just try not to get fired,
Yeah, I'm sure your colleagues love that.
They hate me. They hate me, man. Shit. Yeah. But how long have you been doing this, man?
It's been 2.5 years about.
Oh, you ain't been doing it for long, but
no.
Got a good resume.
Yeah. I think what I realized is consistency is like just week in, week out, 1% better every day. So that's like that's what they all say about podcasts. That's what they say about every artist. Every artist I spoke to is like, the only reason I'm still around and the only reason I have a career is because I just didn't quit, and all these other people I know, they quit. And
that's facts. You heard this guy LaRussell, right? He's making
I
noise.
interviewed LaRussell.
Thank you. He said this thing, right? And it's this what he said is just what hurt a lot of people's feelings. If you don't make it, you just didn't try hard enough. I firmly believe that. I don't lie to myself. I could be trying way harder in a lot of things. And anybody who's good, I don't think that stands for anybody who like sucks. But like, if you're good and there's a light at the end of the tunnel, you just gotta like keep digging. And if you didn't make it, it's because you stopped digging. And that's real shit. So
yeah, I think there's a difference between, like, as you said, like, you can be great as an artist, but there's more shit you got to do. You got to be good at promo. You got to be good at interviews. You got to be good at just building your personal brand. And so that's also what I'm realizing is like, there is never a point where you're like, I'm done.
Yeah.
That's where all the greats become greats, is because they're never satisfied. Then they're always like, I can tweak this. I can do that. Like Jay-Z always is doing new shit and he's pushing boundaries. And everyone's like, you're the GOAT. And I wish I was you. And he's like, even I'm not satisfied yet.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's tough shit. I don't know. So does that mean you agree?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I mean, it sucks because you have to accept the reality of like, you had the choice.
Exactly, bro. Exactly. That's every day you have the choice to wake up and do that 1%. Like, it must suck knowing that you didn't do your 1% today. You could have, like,
yeah,
not you. I'm talking
in general.
Yeah. So
but it's like, the only way I can describe it is like, I have a 9 to 5 as well, right? So it's 7:22 in the morning for us right now. I was up at 5:45 to be ready, to be emotionally prepared, to just get in the right headspace. But I was up before 6 to make this happen. If all I have to do is get up early, I don't even do it for the claps. It's like, that's what I got to do to make this work, because otherwise, for you, number one, the time zones I have to make sure make sense. And then I'm not going to make your life harder. This is my dream. I want to come true. And, I want to make this easy on you. So if all I have to do is get up earlier to make it work, that's not actually a big ask.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
No.
But that ask will stop some people. It didn't stop you, though. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think that's how you have to look at it. It's like, it's that 1% extra is just 1%. It's not that much more.
Yeah.
And it compounds over time.
It does. Shit, you've seen it since your first episode till now. I've seen it since my first song till now. Like, I never thought, I mean, I knew I'd get here, but like, it feels good to know that I made a conscious decision to get here and I'm here. So, hell yeah.
Do you remember what it was like recording your first song?
Yeah, man, I was in my mom's basement on a snowball mic, those tripod ones with the white ball. And yeah, man, I was just trying to be like Eminem and shit, man. My voice was way different. It was terrible. I still have those shits recording on Audacity. No mixes, just bouncing it straight from the recording. Oh, man. Yeah, good times, though. Good times.
What do you mean your voice was different? Like, how did your voice sound versus how it sounds now?
Like, like I basically rap just like how I talk now with no emotion, no inflections.
Right.
Now I kind of like raise my pitch to like, yo, I'm back in the spot, crashing the rock. I'm finna tap on the spot. But I used to rap like, I'm back in the spot, tapping the rock. Like, you know what I mean? So it was way different.
Low key though, I reckon now that you have the skill set that you have now, you could do like the monotone rap and it would still work. I've heard a few artists like do a bit of a monotone thing and it works for some reason. So I actually think the inflection for you, like it got you to where you are, but you could always like go back to that and still get an awesome project or an awesome single come out.
True. You're probably right, man. You're probably right. So what do you do besides podcasting though, man?
So my formal career is as a sales manager. I teach people essentially how to sell for a big corporate company. And I'm pretty good at my corporate career, I will say. Like, I do pretty well for myself in terms of just doing that. And I'm fortunate in the sense that they know I've got a podcast and they don't seem to give a shit. I think it's because they don't listen to the podcast and they don't hear the shit that I talk about. But that is good by me.
Yeah.
But I did say to them, if I get 50 Cent on the show, I'm quitting the next day.
Yo. Wow. Hey, they wouldn't blame you, man.
Nah, they were like, if you don't quit, we got a problem.
Yeah. Is that your dream guest, 50 Cent? I love 50.
Well, 50 was the first album I ever listened to. So
Richard died trying?
That's it. I was, how old was I? I was like 9 years old, and it broke my brain. Like it just, like growing up here in Australia, hip hop was not a thing growing up for me. It wasn't on the radio. It wasn't in shopping malls. It just wasn't around. And one of our family friends had gone to the US for business and he brought back the Get Rich or Die Trying album as like a joke. Like, look at this shit. This is what they're playing over there. Like because like my heritage is like Russian. So they also were like, what the hell? It's like this shirtless kind of bulletproof is like on this like gangster shit. And it's like a different life. They didn't get it. And they put it on. They're like, let's listen to it. Let's see at the shit. And they were like kind of making a joke out of it. And I was just sitting there going, this is the greatest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Wow. That's a great ass story. I love hearing shit like that. Like
it changed my life. It literally changed my life.
Yeah. Like even from your we said it was your uncle. He came back from the US.
I was a family friend.
Okay. For him to just grab that one too. Like, yo, this guy looks like a clown with a shirt off and a bulletproof. Yeah, let me grab this.
Yeah, and the do-rag and like the whole shit. And it was just like, yeah. Like I think in a way it was meant to happen. My parents always thought that hip hop was a phase in my life, that it was, Aaron, you cannot be successful. You cannot have a career and still listen to the things that you're listening to. And now, I mean, now look at where I am and I'm like, and they're like, okay, maybe it's a little bit more than a phase.
Yeah. And it's not even like what you listen to technically matters. They probably thought it was going to be a bad influence on you and shit like that. So
yeah, but they thought the violence and the aggression would influence me to be violent and aggressive, and I am not that person at all because it's entertainment. Like I always say to people, it's literally like playing a video game or watching a violent movie. You watch John Wick doesn't mean I'm going to go buy a gun and shoot the fuck out of everybody. That's so I actually think that attack on hip hop has never been genuine and it's come from a different place. Not
of course, man.
A genuine place.
It's coming, yeah, man. That's a whole nother bag to get into, but it's definitely trying to keep the foot on the neck of hip hop, especially back in the era when they like Eazy-E era and stuff with the NWA cops. And I mean, that was a legit message, but like they used to badmouth hip hop all the time, not let the kids listen to it in America and stuff like that. But yeah, now hip hop's like number one. So
and fastest growing.
Fastest growing. Yeah. Yo, go ahead, bro.
I was going to ask you, what do you think it is though about hip hop it's almost like once you catch it, you can't stop it. Like it's like this undeniable feeling. Anyone who starts is like, you just cannot get enough.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I think it's got to do with the rhythm, man. Like there's a certain rhythm that's how I explain it for me. When I listen to like other genres and I listen to hip hop, this isn't there. It's not there anywhere else but hip hop. And that feeling of like leaning back in the car, that's also not, you can't do that to anything but hip hop too. So like the modes of how you like move, you can't walk on the street and feel like a boss listening to anything else but hip hop too in a certain way. Like, you know what I mean? Those pockets of like feelings, you know?
Actually, yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how to dance to any other music. Like, how do you dance to rock? I've never got it. I don't understand it. Whereas like hip hop, like, yeah, you said like you can get into a groove. There's something about it that helps you move.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you ask your parents how they listen to rock. They probably listen to rock.
My parents don't. What do my parents listen to? We weren't a very musical house, I will say. Like I remember my parents listening a lot to music at home. So that wasn't really a big thing. I think my mom's favorite was Duran Duran.
I don't even know. I've heard of them, but I don't really know who they are like that.
Yeah, I don't know either. I tried to show my mom Lauryn Hill once because I was like, maybe the gangster shit is not your cup of tea, but maybe Lauryn Hill will be your. And I just don't
like one of them. She didn't like one of them joints.
She kind of. She was more okay with it, is how I would describe it. She was more happy with it on than half the shit. I had a song yesterday. I drove my mum, and it was "Mama" by Big Pun, and so she was like, "Oh, it started off not so bad," and then Big Pun starts spitting his verse how he's murdering people, and she was like, "That turned so wild."
Yo, it's funny how people like, I don't know, that just doesn't resonate. But like, I don't know, it's just the way they rhyme in words. That shit is cool. So what if they're saying murdering this, murdering that? But maybe if it clicked how he was doing it, it's insane.
Yeah, you know? I think it takes effort to listen to though.
It does. For people who aren't used to it. Like, it doesn't take any effort for me to dissect a verse in real time and like give props while I'm listening. Like, oh wow, that was dope. I probably couldn't even have done that type of shit. Like but for someone who isn't familiar with it, it's like, yeah, for sure.
Because do you remember growing up with hip hop?
I mean, it wasn't. I was like you and your family. They didn't listen to that, so I didn't grow up with it like that. No, I just found Dilla and Eminem and started digging in the crates. You know what I mean?
Because how did you find them? Like that, like you said, the origin story of how you first come across the sound is always so intriguing. But how did you find that first sound?
It was just I was in middle school, man. My friends, they listened to hip hop and they introduced me to like fucking T.I., Ludacris, Lil Wayne. This is back when they were really big. So I just started getting into it because those are my friends. Until then, I didn't even know what hip hop was. until about 8 or 9. No idea. Because my parents are Nigerian. They came here. They don't listen to that shit. So yeah.
And what do they think of what you do now?
Well, now that I get paid and I'm like traveling, doing shows, they're like, wow, sounds pretty cool. Yeah.
But at the beginning, not so much.
I didn't even tell them, yo. Like, I would sneak in the basement, shut the door, put a pillow so they didn't hear me. So I didn't tell them until like a couple years ago.
Yeah. Funny how that is. I mean, my parents are still like, you know, I doubt those rappers make much money. And I'm like, are you joking?
Oh, man, you got to teach them.
Oh, trust me, I try. But as soon as I open my mouth, it's like, you know, they don't view me as like the person who has a podcast, who talks about hip hop on a regular basis, who loves it. They view me as their son who happens to like the music that they just don't understand.
See, and that's the worst thing about having people in your life that don't understand. If you were Joe Rogan and you showed them your Spotify check, you'd instantly become like, oh, our son knows what he's talking about, because you show him that check and you're on TV or whatever. But now that you know what I mean?
I got to say though, I don't even think that would do it, because my parents are 110% supportive. That's the difference. They don't understand it, but they're always supportive. They help me whenever they can. They never say no to like me living my dream. So they're always 100% supportive. They just don't get it. So I don't think at any
point, level of acclaim that you can get, like the president is like, yo, this is your son is yo.
They will be like, that is extremely cool and you're amazing at what you do, but I still don't get the music that you listen to. There's that cultural separation of that mental block, so they can acknowledge all the cool shit that I've done, but they don't necessarily acknowledge where it comes from necessarily. They won't understand it.
I get that. As long as they can acknowledge your place in it, but don't understand it, but know that you're doing things in it that are a big deal. Like you would hope that they would be able to, you know what I mean, get that.
Yeah. They will only know if I do interview someone like 50 Cent. They'll be like, that's really cool. But like, you know, when I'm like, I interviewed, like we said, like Master Ace, that means nothing to them. That's like, no one.
You got to interview 50 and then go back to your relative. You remember that motherfucker you brought the CD with a fucking, yo, like I had him on my show, man. That'd be dope. But
yeah, that would be dope. But yeah, I don't think the old Russian crowd would particularly give a shit.
You been back to Russia?
I've never been in my life. I was born here. I'm first generation. So, yeah, both my parents were born overseas.
Wow.
But yeah. Oh. Have you been back to Nigeria or been to?
Yeah.
How is it?
It's dope, man. It's I haven't been when I was older, but it's really cool. I went back to my village, saw my parents, ate food on the street, rode on like them dangerous bikes. The lights turned off. We had to like use generators. Like shit's like what you hear about, except all the weird jungle safari, weird racist shit.
Yeah. My brother went to Tanzania recently. Actually, he said it was absolutely amazing.
That's dope, man.
And that it's weird because like in Australia, there's lots of white people. There's a comedian who made a joke. I think it was one of the funniest jokes ever. He was like, you know, Australia is like Africa before white people.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that.
But yeah, he was like, it was strange being the only white, like him and his friend, two white guys, the only white guys in Tanzania. And it was just, it's like, I think we can sometimes take for granted what it feels like to look the way you are and then just feel like everyone looks quite similar. And then go out of that, you're like, oh no, this is strange. Or it's strange to get used to.
It's not a good feeling. You feel like it's not a war, but you feel like you're outnumbered for some weird reason. But it's not even it's really ain't even like you're in a supermarket, like I don't know, feeling like where are my people at? But yeah.
Like I went to India recently, and I was like, I'm the only white guy in this airport. Like I look around, I'm like, yeah, I'm the only one here.
It's fucking weird.
But I kind of liked it at the same time because it makes me different. Like there was something about it that's like weird, but then I was like, oh, but now I'm different and kind of special in a way.
Sure, it could seem like that in the airport where there's no stakes, but in an environment where it may matter, where the numbers matter, you just you're not gonna feel. You want to feel special.
Yeah.
But in the airport where it's safe, so I hear you there.
Yeah. I think it's weird, like how lucky, like in a way, you just where you're born is the cards that you're dealt.
Yeah, you got no control over that.
No,
none. Particularly your skin color as well, because I mean that you got no. That's just the cards, man. It's just the cards.
But it is weird that, like you said, like you feel for whatever reason, like humans for whatever reason have this feeling of like I look different and I feel different, even though there could be no external threat. There could be, but you just inherently feel like, oh, something's up.
Yeah, it's fucking weird. The brain is weird. Like I said, there's certain supermarkets I don't like going into because it's literally all white people. And I don't like the feeling. I just don't like that feeling. There's a store called Horrocks. It's like Trader Joe's, like organic shit that I don't give a fuck about. I'm like, I don't like going in here because I don't like the way I feel when I'm shopping in there. I like going to my stupid Walmart at 2 a.m. where there's people fighting and shit. I don't know. Like, I feel like no one gives a fuck there. But yeah.
You know, I kind of agree with you because all those people, they're not only white, they're also like vegans and they have like blue hair and shit. And then I feel weird as well because I'm like, I feel guilty going to the meat section. It's like way overpriced. And then I see all these people like looking at me for still like eating steak. And I'm just like, all right, I'm going to a place where I feel zero judgment for what I buy.
That's what it is. It's exactly what it is. Yeah. Fuck that shit. But, you know.
You mentioned with the Foreknowledge Collective, you tried to get a project together and it just didn't work. What happened there?
Yo, so we started our preliminary chats, you know, sending the beats out all over online. People were writing. We actually all met up in DC, Washington, booked a studio. We recorded a bunch of tracks, but then it came time for people to finish their tracks, and we're just a bunch of carefree motherfuckers at the end of the day. No one really gave that much of a fuck, and it just didn't happen. And we're still boys to this day. Like, and sometimes it was like, there were certain members that I liked way more than others. And that was like, if someone wasn't on it that I liked, I had no intention to like do my part on that particular joint because I'm not even excited about it. That was some shit for me. I mean, yeah, you know, shit just falls through the cracks. It ain't work out.
You know, you're the first person I've ever heard to admit to something like that like you're on a project, they're like, hey, do a verse for this song and you're not excited because you don't fully rate the artist. But do you think that happens more than people say?
Yo, I don't think anybody would ever admit that due to like being politically correct. But I don't know, man. I don't know. I really don't know. But that's the big thing for me. Even if it's someone in my clique and I don't think you're that dope, like, I'm not going to get that shit done. Like, yeah, no. Nah, fuck that shit, yo. Like, yeah, no. What do you think? So, like, if you were collabing on a podcast with someone famous that you don't necessarily respect, are you going to do it?
Probably.
You know? Why?
But because I know, so I'm also big picture. So like, I've interviewed guests that I don't love. I've interviewed guests where I'm like, I can see you've got a fan base and I can see, but your music isn't my taste personally.
Crazy.
I've done those interviews because I still think we will come up with something interesting. And to be fair, we're not making music together. We're having a conversation. So I think inherently people are interesting. So I can still talk to someone whose music I hate because we're probably still going to have a great conversation. But I don't have, for me, it's not, I don't have to love you to be able to talk to you. But I definitely can see where, like, if you're putting your music and you don't want, like, you don't have that much vested interest in it, that you were like, it's probably not going to come out that great. So I probably don't want to like put my, even if I do it, I don't want to put my best shit on there.
So you think you can squeeze a gold nugget out of any conversation?
I think so. Yeah.
That's props. That's props.
Because I think I had this thought the other day that how many people are alive at the same time as us? I think there's like 7.8 billion people in the planet.
Yeah.
How many stories will we never hear? But how many times have you met someone and you're like, holy shit, like you've lived some kind of crazy, wild shit life. And that I genuinely think everyone has a good story in them. Like one, at least one.
You're right. You're right about that. You're right. All right. You're here to catch them all. You're here to Ash Ketchum trying to catch all the stories.
Trying to catch all the stories. And to be honest, I have a pretty good click if it's musicians and it's like, you'll have some amazing stories. Sure. I mean, your careers create the stories.
They do. They put you in places and in rooms. Yeah, something happens. No doubt. I feel you.
How was it for you, like traveling for the first time? Like, you know, I think that's like a momentous occasion where you're like, is this shit real? Like, is it finally happening?
It was just like that. My first show outside of Michigan, where I live now, was in Pennsylvania, 6 hours away. I drove there. It was 6 hours. I drove there by myself. And I was just like, yo, hell yeah, B. And I get there. It's one of the dudes in Foreknowledge, Hobbs Duende. First time meeting him after we've been talking online for years. And it was just like, yo, we here, baby, yeah. And that's how it is every time, even till I travel to this day. Like I'm going to South by Southwest in Austin next week. I'm like a little kid, like just excited to drink, do stupid shit, and like just get free shit and, you know, live that rapper life like that. I never get sick of that shit, man. So it's dope every time I get to travel, every time.
And what about overseas?
I haven't done that yet, but I'm planning on that. London, maybe Australia. I've actually got a lot of friends in Adelaide, and then just Australia hip hop fam is dope. So,
well, come down, man, because I think shows sell out here. Like we're not a huge population, but we sell out because like when you come, you come. We know it's a long way to go. So we tend to put on some pretty good shows. We've got lots of venues here as well.
You ever come out here for anything?
I've only been to Denver. That's the only place and Hawaii, but Hawaii doesn't really count.
I mean, it legally counts or whatever. It's one of the
legally, but everyone's like, that shit's like kind of.
Yo, it don't really count, honestly.
Yeah.
It's in the water. But what was in Denver?
I actually went for work. So
Word.
Yeah. So
sales manager. Okay.
Yeah. So like I said, I am like, I don't want to. It's weird. I don't want people like looking into me in my like my other corporate career, but I do pretty well for myself. Like I went to India for work, and I went to, and I'm gonna go overseas again soon. So like I do live a pretty cool life. I realize that like the balance of it all, but my ultimate dream would be to do this like full time and forever.
Okay, so what's like your steps to getting there? Like just keep getting more iconic guests, because you're not. No offense to myself, you're not going to get there interviewing guys like me. Maybe when I get work, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, see, I've thought about that too, but I think it's like it takes 10 years to become an overnight success, is the saying. And so I'm like, in my own head, I'm like, all right, just 1% better. My visuals need to start getting better. My technique on the podcast needs to start getting better. I need to get better at promo. And eventually you knock down turn over enough stones, and the big guest comes.
Yeah,
and on the flip side, there is a guest that I will have interviewed that is not big at the time that I interview them.
Oh yeah.
They become big, and I've built up enough credit to potentially even have them back on the show. And there's something about that to me of like, I can't just be focused on the mega stars. That's going to happen when it happens. But if I can have the right conversations, do the right things with people like yourself who have potential, well, then that's not going to stop me.
I like how you painted that. You never know how a connection could be fruitful to you down the line, like, no doubt. So I hear you. That's what's up.
In the same way, you never know which song will be the one.
God damn, yo. Fucking Crooked Eye quoted a line of mine from the first song on my first album, Leaves of Memories. And he quoted the song that I thought he would like not quote. And I'm just, to your point, I'm like, what the fuck are you listening to that joint for? I got way hotter ones, but I was like, all right, whatever. So yeah, you never know.
Did you hit him up after that, or did you like just let?
Like he was just doing me a look. He ain't really like. That's where you don't want to fuck it up by being too over eager and reaching out because he did some shit. He felt obligated to. A friend of mine posted it and it was like, yo, Crook, listen to this. He gave it a listen. He didn't have to. I feel like I would be out of pocket by reaching out. What the fuck am I gonna say? Like, I don't know. I responded publicly on the timeline, but diving in his DMs to act like another like rapper, probably got a million of them. I don't want to do that. So,
but then counterpoint: if you don't ask, you don't get.
True. Yo, I don't know, man. You right about that. What? So you're gonna tell me at any point you're gonna ask? I feel like there are strategic points to where you shouldn't ask and let it come to you later.
I agree. I do agree with you, but if they're talking about me, that's like my instinct of like, okay, now's my time. You don't have to mention me because, like you said, he could have listened to you and not said anything.
You're actually right about that. You think it's too late?
Nah.
It's like last week.
No, it's good timing.
Yeah, but then what do you say? Like, see, you're in sales. You know how to approach things the right way. The fuck do I say to this guy?
Well, I said to you, like I sent you a message and you seemed to say yes. So like, I don't know, man. I think it's like just genuinely just be like, hey man, appreciate the shout out. Glad you enjoyed. Something really just like super chill. You're not asking for anything. You're just saying, hey man, I appreciate you. Or like, I'm a big fan. Like I appreciate it. Whatever. Like super low commit.
What's funny? I've actually talked to a bunch of like verified rappers. Like this happens more often than you know to me. And I do that and then they leave you on red. So at that point, I'm just like, why did I even do that super chill? If they're not gonna respond, I'm just like, I'm not, like, I swear. Yeah.
I guess, but I have lots of rappers who don't respond to my DMs.
All right.
And so the counter to that is I could just stop sending messages because like lots of them don't respond. They read it and they're like, no. But then the one that says yes is worth all the ones that say no. You can't have this attitude of like, I made, like in sales, literally, I made 9 phone calls. No one said yes. So I'm not going to make a 10th. Right. Well, you better make that fucking 10th call because that's how it works. Like, and I've tried to reach out to Crook as well, actually, funnily enough. Like someone said to me like, hey, he'd be good on the show. I tried to reach out to managers and stuff. Just nothing ever eventuated. Maybe it's not ready yet or I'm not ready for it yet, but I don't regret that because I am going to reach out again. For sure. Like I've already decided, like I'm going to reach out again. He will ultimately at some point potentially say yes, but that's on me to continue to keep putting myself out there. He's not going to turn around to me and be like, well, maybe he will at some point. If 50 comes on, he might want to come on, but
you'll probably still be reaching out first, to be honest. But I'm gonna hop on your side too. you never know what somebody's thinking. I've made up all these scenarios in my head as to why whatever didn't happen. But like, yo, they can still fuck with you even if they left you on red. It's just like they got a lot of shit going on. Maybe, you know.
Yeah. And they may turn around and be like, you know, I got to take some time to listen to this person or whatever, or like I wasn't in the right mindset, or they forget about the message, or they lost the message. Like I've done the shit of like, I'll send them a message. It's on red. I delete my message and I resend the same message and I get a good response back.
Yo, that's wild. That's wild. Well, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, you just got to try. Like you just got to try. And as I said, for all the artists that say no, the people that say yes, they come on the show, and it's one day at a time, one step at a time. So yeah, I don't think you got anything to lose. Like, what's the worst thing that happens? He's already listened to your music. Now he might think you're a nice guy.
You know what? I'm gonna take from this interview is just always ask. Fuck it. Yeah. No doubt.
And I cannot wait for you to come back on the show and be like, Aaron, all that shit you said didn't work, man. Didn't work.
I'm like in jail or some shit. Like, yo, this motherfucker just told me to ask. Look at me now.
And I just always asked, and it just like shit.
Yo, that's funny as hell right there, dog. But we gonna keep it cool.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna be like, hey, you didn't ask the right questions. That's what I'm gonna say.
hey, I didn't tell you to ask that, bro. Like, whoa, come on, man.
Yeah. It's funny. Like, but yeah, like it's weird. You have done some pretty amazing things. Like you were also at the Def Jam Music Festival 2022 as well.
Oh, I think you read that as Def Jam, but it's actually the Damn Jam.
Oh, I definitely read that wrong. Turns out I can't read. I can speak. I just can't.
Hey, yo, but no shit. I'll probably get there eventually. Like, no doubt. You know, like South by Southwest, I'm doing that. I remember I was a kid reading interviews and blog posts on Two Dope Boys. All my favorite rappers were doing South by Southwest. Now I'm doing it. So like, it took a long time to get here, but I'm here. So
yeah. How long have you been rapping for? Like, how do you count it?
See that, I love that question. How do you count it? Because technically I started writing at 9 and I'm 28. But I didn't start trying to actually be like a rapper and get money and till a few years ago. I was just trying to be like really good in my basement in my apartment. And then people were like, yo, you should probably try a little harder. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, it's probably a good idea. So from the point of which I took it serious, 5, to the point I wrote my first rhyme, over 10, 12, 15. You know what I mean?
So that's a good answer, because I think you only really started when you started taking it serious.
I agree, because that's when I started putting in the 10,000 hours. Like I used to write a rhyme and now I write a rhyme every day. I could have been a lot better at this point had I started way back then. That's my biggest regret ever. Just not taking it serious from day one. You know what I mean?
You're still young too.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I don't have a kids or a wife or nothing like that. But 28 is still like it's up there.
And neither do I, and I'm 29. So
yeah, I mean, we young, but you know what I'm trying to say. It's not like I'm 18. Like,
yeah, but I think it's different being successful and being a little bit older. You have your head on your shoulders. You've been around the block a few times. Like you've heard enough and you've learned enough in life to, like, as we already know, to be like cautious. And there's something about the right level of caution. I think that's probably the hard part as you get older, is to not be too cautious. Whereas I think when you're young, you love risk and you just go for it. But a lot of artists get absolutely fucked because they take the wrong risk too young and they don't see a way out of it. Whereas, like, you know, your come up now as what I would say is more of a grown man is probably going to place you better than a lot of contemporaries if they came up at 18 or 22.
I got to challenge you on that because I've seen it firsthand. All these rappers that I look up to now are technically the same age or even younger than me. What they did were they weren't risk averse when they were kids. They were doing all that shit, and some of them got fucked, some of them didn't, and now we're all the same age, but they built this empire because they were killing it from the get-go. Whereas me now, I'm into myself, and now I'm beginning to kill it, but not everyone gets fucked in the beginning. You know what I'm saying?
But not everyone makes it too.
True. As long as you ain't in jail, it's just like, how bad did you really get fucked? You know what I'm saying? Maybe you got fucked on a contract. Okay.
Yeah, but you get fucked on enough contracts. You get fucked on, you know, a lot of them quit. So like, I get it. Like we said at the beginning,
they didn't love it, man. If you stopped rhyming, you were doing it for a reason other than the rhyme, and you were doing it for money. You know what I'm saying? Like,
how many of them do it for the money though? So many.
Yeah, I don't really respect those cats as really. I don't know. I find that shit whack as fuck. Like, yeah, nah. Whatever though.
I guess, but then there are some people like who play, you know, ball, and some people who play sport because they're like, it's like their way out. It's like, I do it for the cash. And you and I both know that there are athletes out there, they don't give a shit about like being the best. They just want to get their check and come home and be like, hey, you know, I made a great bag today. Yeah. See, I'm like a mid-level player, but I made some good money today, and I look after my family, and I
can't hate on that. I cannot hate on that. But then you were left out of the conversation as a purist. Like, Kobe Bryant doesn't respect those guys who don't put extra hours in the gym and don't care about the science of basketball. They're no longer in the conversation for like the GOATs of their field. It's like a different level of, you know what I'm saying? Like Kobe, Michael Jordan, who else puts in work? Like Kyrie Irving. These guys love the game. Then you got guys who just don't care. Like you're not even on the same plane anymore of like, you know what I'm saying?
I agree, but you still respect it because you're still good enough. Like, I guess it's a question of like, you know, if it was me, if I was, you know, 6'5" built like that, and I was an absolute machine instead of what I am now. Like, you know, we have it a lot in Australia with Nick Kyrgios, the tennis player, because it's like he's so good, but he pisses me off because I'm like, fucking get your shit together, train properly, get a coach, do some discipline.
You get it, man. He's like shooting shots between the legs. He's a cool player, but he'll never go down in history like Roger Federer because he just doesn't put in hours. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I changed my mind now, man. At first, I was trying to convince you the other way around. Now I'm like, actually, no, I'm pissed off about all these players who like don't.
Like Nick could be really good, but he seems like he just likes to hang out and fuck bitches and shit.
He wants to be an NBA player. He wishes he was in the NBA. That's the lifestyle that I think he's said he'd much rather play ball than he would train for tennis.
Yo, that's wild, bro. This man's just naturally talented. Like, yeah, I'm just shit. I wish I was a baller. That's crazy.
Yeah, and I'd be like, fucking, let's go with the gym. We're gonna like, I know that I think I wonder like the competitiveness, because I think people like, you know, LeBron, people like Jordan, there is a level of competitiveness that no matter what they do, they want to be the greatest of all. They just want to be the best. They don't want, it's undeniable. They start competing with legacy.
Great word, legacy. Great word. Yeah. Yeah. Like, wouldn't you want to go down as a legacy or a legend in whatever that you want?
Hell yeah.
Like, not necessarily to make the most money, but to make the most impact. Like, that's like a good criteria for a legend or whatever.
It's like for your name to be like echoed for the for time.
Ooh. Yeah, that shit gets my dick hard right there. The name echoed in history, man. Yeah.
Yeah, like people like Alexander the Great. Like that is number one. That is a fucking amazing name, Alexander the Great. Like in history, he's known as great, which means that the first time you hear about him, you're like, who's this Alexander the Great guy?
Yeah, off top. Great guy. Yeah, just like that.
Yeah.
Great guy. Alexander the Great is a great guy, man. Yeah.
It's funny though, because like he was literally a warmonger and like one of the biggest conquerors of all time. And but he's still known as one of the greatest minds of that era.
That's what's wrong with history, man. Like, yeah. Those guys were doing terrible things, but that was life back then. Conquering, amassing wealth and all that. Like that was, yeah. Even today, that's valued in a kind of a different way, but whoever has the most shit.
Yeah. You know? Well, it's like building an empire was like the best thing ever.
Yeah, which is kind of dope, but I don't know. Do you watch shows like Last Kingdom or like Marco Polo?
Yeah, I love those shows.
Yeah, fuck yeah, man. Like shit like that. That shit's fire.
Yeah, that's why it's fire, because like we still watch the TV shows and we're like, that shit is dope to be, you know, the best. Like Vikings, you want it to be like Ragnar on that show.
Exactly. Yeah, bro. Fucking animal, man. Just ruthless. I love that shit.
Yeah. Yeah. We love it. And then we're like, all right, reality of that sucks.
Oh, yeah, right. Like he killed his own brother for not wanting to go to Valhalla or some shit. I'm like, okay. But in real life, like, whoa. Nah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I've wondered that about you know, the Bible story of like what's his name? Abraham, where like apparently God says to Abraham, like, sacrifice your own son, and he's willing to do it for God. And me, as my like critical self, would be like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yo, yeah, right.
Like I'd be like, what the kind of bullshit are you talking about? Kill my own son. You can go fuck yourself. That's like that's like are you crazy? Like
a lot of people would say that.
Like, what kind of insanity is that shit? I'm now in the camp that like Abraham, if he agreed, obviously, you know, believe what you want to believe, but like if he agreed, psycho, absolute psycho,
maniac. But or to people like us, a maniac. To like devout Christians, legend. There's like always two sides to every coin. Like we think he's a maniac. Other people are like praising him for making that sacrifice, which is nuts, but you know, fuck it.
Yeah. I would just be so pissed off as the son. Oh, you wake me up early, you make me go on this fucking long ass hike, and now you get to like, try and murder me. That's some bullshit right there. Like, what did I do to deserve this?
That is some bullshit, dog. Yo, and he did bring his ass up there, but
yeah,
I'd be like, yo, good looks, pops, man. Like, all right.
Yeah. Yeah. They were like, yeah. I'd honestly think my dad was going insane.
Would what?
I think my dad is going insane if that happened. I'd be like, no. Like,
yeah. Shit's crazy, man. I mean, religion is its own thing, politics, all that. I try to like just not, I only focus on what I can affect, and that's writing dope rhymes. The world is gonna change in that way without me, but I could do this. So that's all I care about, really.
Well, I mean, you are doing a good job. I think that's the thing is like, you know, there's a reason your music genuinely spoke out to me. I saw it on like a IG ad, and like it just clicked. Like I was like, I gotta check this shit out. Like it just sounded so good. And like, you know, you got Whiskey Mango as well, and like that sounds fire. So like you're like, it just sounds good. Like sonically, it just works. There's something like really chill and like it just feels good, and it's not that like insane high tempo. It's like that hip hop that you can just go about your day and listen to with.
And that generally reflects who I am as like a person. I go with the flow. I don't care about, usually late to shit. Like just to speak on like my chillness, like people who take things as a big deal, everything to me is like, yo, fuck it. At least we're not dead. Like, honestly, what are you mad about right now? Type shit. It's how I be with everything. So, and that's how I ride a beat. Just, real chill.
Well, it's working for you. And I also got to say, the music videos, the shots from the underground are so good.
Hey man, appreciate you, man. I appreciate that. Put a lot of work into that. Yep.
Yeah. I was like, man, these need to be on streaming platforms. Like, they need to listen to that shit.
You know what? What do you think about that? Because those are short. They're like a minute long. Whenever I drop something short, people are like, why isn't this longer? It was meant to be short for like social media. And then I get these annoying ass feedback like, why is it so short? Yo, that was the whole point.
You are one of the funniest people I think I've spoken to, because it's like, for all the ones who have the energy to tell you why it's so short, you're also going to get repeat plays.
I am. You're right. I hate that question though. It was meant to be that way.
Yeah, but but you know now that people are going to ask you that, because that's just what it is. Like, if it was 2.5 minutes, they'd be like, okay, see. Yeah. But like, it's 30.
Yeah. I'm gonna put it up there. I have plans to. I'm trying to get it like mixed, like the old school DJ joints where each song blends into the next one rather than just click. So that's what I'm working on right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I appreciate you.
Yeah, that would be good. And also low effort. Like, I think people listen to low effort things. Like, at 30 is so low effort. 5-minute songs now, I'm like, oh my God, it's like fucking 5 minutes long. Why is this shit so long?
Exactly. That was, which is also on purpose too.
Yeah.
If you can't listen to this for a minute, like, you got a problem for sure. No doubt.
Yeah. I mean, there's a song that recently came out by Sahai, and it was like 5.5 minutes. And I'm like, man, you clearly wanted to say some shit on this.
Did you listen to it all?
Yeah, I did. I mean, Sahai is amazing. I think Sahai he has some phenomenal bars. I've always thought the Black History Project, like that mixtape, it's not on any streaming platforms, and it sucks because I wish I could just be like, play it all the time. But that project is one of the best projects. Like, it's so good.
I don't think I've heard that particular one, but I do share your love for Sahai. His bars are out of this world, man. Like,
yeah, his LA Lakers freestyle that came out, like, I think it was like a couple of years or last year. That was crazy.
I watched that. That was fire.
Yeah, I was like, so you can have like multiple meanings within multiple bars all the time that mean all these different things.
That's why rap is so beautiful. Like, the fact you could make that happen with the English language is so cool, man. Like, for real. Shit's tight.
Yeah.
Who else do you like, man? Sahai, obviously, like Master Ace.
Sahai, Big Pun is my favorite of all time. Like, Capital Punishment is my favorite. Like, just as, and I get sonically, again, it's not like as crisp as everything else, but as a rapper, what he was able to do with the bars and just construct a message, and it's hard as shit, and it's like gangster as shit, but it says something at the same time. Like, all of that was just awesome to me. I could listen to Beware, and like it's just so hard. And I think he could have done anything. Like, he had the ability as an artist to become anything.
I agree. He seemed like one of those chameleon types. He could have adapted, evolved, like dropped a different genre song every week if he wanted. Like,
That's
who else?
Yeah, so Big Pun. Anyone? I've been getting into Kendrick again lately. Like, my favorite project with Kendrick's was Good Kid, Mad City.
All right, cool.
Yeah. What were you thinking I was gonna say?
Yo, what most people say, what do they say? To Pimp a Butterfly, or some other shit. I don't know. But go ahead. Good Kid is dope.
Good Kid, Mad City was my favorite project. And then I actually did a review of his most recent album. I spent an hour. Yeah.
The morale and the acceptance, yeah.
Yeah. I spent an episode just reviewing it. So I listened to it like 4 times. And it has significantly grown on me. The more I listen to it, I think it's a difficult project to like listen to once. I was also like, what the fuck is this shit? So that, and then, Andre 3000, I've been getting back into as well. Outcast. Aquemini is such a good project. Like I could listen to that shit all the time. And like, we say it all the time, like Biggie, 50 Cent, I probably don't listen to as much Eminem as I should. I think lyrically, there is a lot there to be taken, but I've never gone through like a full Eminem phase. I've listened to it, but I've never been like, oh shit, but Royce da 5'9", I was like, oh man, he came to Australia once and I saw him live and that shit was epic.
Killed it. It was everything you thought it'd be.
It was killed. It was like a small venue. I took a photo with Kid Vicious, and then I interviewed Kid Vicious like 2 years later, and it was like so cool for me to be like, "Hey man, like there's this photo of us that we talked. You came down to Australia, and now I get to legitimately talk to you."
That's crazy. Look at that. That's exactly what you referenced earlier in this. So that's what's up.
Yeah, man.
Gotta go through that. I mean, it's too late for you. You're either an Eminem fan or you're not. Now, I do make a critical distinction of this Eminem shit. Because people hear you like Eminem, and then they start thinking you like the shit he's been dropping. Fuck no. Eminem stops for me like after the Eminem show or after Encore. Encore barely slips through. Everything after that, no. But that early Eminem shit, like, fucking gold to me. Everything after just absolute.
Yeah, like when he was on his horrorcore shit.
What would you call that? His earlier shit?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Like, he got corny as fuck later. Like he started doing just like easy double entendres and kind of weird rhyme schemes. But I will say the one thing that falls outside of that is his project with Royce. I think that was one of the best projects he did.
Bad Meets Evil?
Yeah, Bad Meets Evil held the sequel.
Yeah. No, yeah, that shit was gas, bro.
Yeah. So that was probably like one of his like later on projects where he was still good, but I think Royce brought the best out of him at that point. There was like enough competition for him to have to level up. But I agree. I think it's hard to be a good artist forever.
This is something that's such a great like thing to expound upon. Like, who is there anyone who hasn't pissed off some of their fans at one point? Like longevity. I don't know.
No. Not one. No. I legitimately don't think I've often wondered this. Would Biggie be as well received if he had a longer career? Would the same be about Big L? Would the same thing about Big Pun? Would all these guys who are, if Lauryn Hill made a second, third, fourth project, would she be as good?
She's lucky she didn't. With how people hold her in regard, they wouldn't have been. They got your fame and all that goes sky high when you have a little discography and then you died early, and it was all dope. But that's where it ended. Like, yeah.
Which sucks because it's like we all wish we had more of it, but then like you said, legacy. The legacy of those artists could become tarnished. Like I wonder what Biggie would be as an older man now on like IG and TikTok. And like we saw that shit with Madonna. She went wild. Went absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
Like the fame got to her. And I wonder if those people would have gone down a similar path.
It's likely, but it is interesting to think about. People say that, I've heard people say that, he probably would have done well, which is true. But well commercially, but that doesn't mean well artistically, but it would have been interesting. No doubt.
Yeah. But man, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you and have you on the show. I only got one more question for you. And you asked me some question, but I'm going to ask you probably the hardest question I ask any guest on the show. It's the only question that I plan on the show. But if you had to recommend one album that everybody should listen to once to get an appreciation of, doesn't have to be the best album of all time, can be any genre of music, cannot be yourself, what would it be?
To get an appreciation of like hip hop or anything?
Any. Like what you think is like potentially underrated or people should understand.
Honestly, I'll just do my favorite album. If I was to get a gun pointed at my head, I'd probably say The Internet Tape by Vic Mensa. It was an album he dropped before he got signed to like Kanye and that label and shit like that. Or was it Jay? I don't know which one of them. But that tape to me is just it's incredible. I've never heard anyone flow like a fucking like Slinky. Just what he does with words, and then the jazzy as fuck, man. Jazzy as fuck. But more on the hi-fi tip. It's not like my shit where it's boom bap. It's just like it's magical. It's magical, man. Have you heard it?
No, I haven't. I'm gonna have to go check it. But I'd love to also speak to Vic Mensa. That'd be a dope.
Yeah. He's dope.
Yeah, I agree. That's why hip hop is so good. There's so many dope artists. There's just like a plethora. And as I said at the beginning, man, I'm looking forward to seeing what you can do. I'm sure you're gonna get more flowers. I'm looking forward to seeing you go overseas and do more shows and do all those things. For anyone that wants to follow him, you can. I think it's on IG as Lord Kwaj. On IG, obviously on Spotify, you've got your link tree on there. You've got your YouTube channel with all the visuals. As you said, you put a lot of effort in those. They're really good. Yeah, man, I'm excited. I'm excited to see, all the projects that you dropped this year. I think you've got a great base. So, and you make good music. So,
I've got one coming. I want to plug it. It's produced by Hobbs Duende. It's coming out this year. All 7 tracks produced by Hobbs. It's gonna be dope, man. So,
do you have a time frame for that?
It's done right now. I just gotta get it mixed. I don't know if you heard, but my engineer, who I've been working with for like 5-6 years, he passed away.
I'm sorry, man.
So now I'm in this stage where I have to find someone who I like the way they do work behind the boards. And there's no time limit on that.
Yeah. Well, hopefully you find someone good. Hopefully we see the drop come out soon. And yeah, as I said, man, absolute pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me. I had a lot of fun, man. Thank you.
Me too.